Hey, what's up? Suno is an AI generated music startup, and they got sued a while back by Warner Music, Sony, and Universal, I believe. The thing now, though, is that they just settled to make a collaboration between the two company. I guess Warner Music is his own big company, and Suno is a startup, and they just settled recently, to do a collaboration where Warner would like license his music, and then they also just sold the one of Warner's music discovery apps to Suno for an undisclosed amount. Why even say all of this? I'm not going to get too much into details because I don't know that much. But why I say this is because I feel like when it comes to the whole copyright discussion of AI, whether it's for images, videos, or music in this case, there's this idea that when these companies are suing them, it's like, oh, dang, yay, finally someone's stepping in. But my logic has always been that it's never a matter of ethics for the companies because the companies also have their own shady ethics that they're doing behind closed doors. But it's more so that these companies are making money when they can be making money off the stuff they're doing, right? So it's not a matter of the ethics there. I think that's what you're going to see in different fields. Like right now, you're seeing the music. So you have Warner Music that just did this collaboration. I think you still have Sony and Universal to go to kind of settle with Suno, and you also have Udio and all the I think it's called Udio. That's another AI music generator startup. You have those, and what's likely going to happen is that they're going to try and find a way to license the music. Apparently, I think it was the CEO who said this, but apparently they're going to have a way for artists to opt in, opt out. But my opinion, I feel like if you have a very popular artist as a music label and you really want to see how much money you can generate from people trying to use their voice without like lowering the value of their voice, then I feel like they're gonna have more control than the artist the individual artist. Like I already from what I know from an outside perspective, a lot of the relationship between an artist and a label does I won't say it seem predatory, but it does seem like it's not equal, right? So I don't think it's going to be a case where an artist can just say, I don't want I don't want my voice to be used by this AI AI startup, right? I think it's going to be much more like the label themselves is going to assess how much value they can extract. Maybe your voice is actually better to be used by an AI. Maybe your music isn't generating that much revenue for the company, but then your voice might generate more revenue for the company if people get to use your voice to make their own music. Um, but also in the adjacent fields, I think it's gonna be the same thing. I know Disney is definitely doing stuff there. I think that's why that's a company I've been interested in for a while now. Cause I feel like AI video generation and AI image generation, while it's good, even you have like Nano Banana Pro, while it's good, it's just not that level where I think you could really make a $1 billion movie. Like for like the Disney Pixar level, I don't think it's there. I would argue maybe for background art, you could invest a lot of time, but you also have the question of like the amount of time you invest in using AI to make the background art for a scene. Maybe that may take even more time than for just like having the regular process. There's also the whole cost of switching, right? Like why switch to this unreliable process when you have a firm and steady one right here. But I do think in the next 10 to 15 years, Disney and other companies like Pixar are going to have their own investments. Like even though they're suing OpenAI and other companies right now, they're going to try and figure out a way to make money out of that as well. I've been really curious how that's going to work. For individual artists, I don't think it's going to be any major thing, but for companies, I think it might just be similar to this thing we're seeing here um, with Suno and Warner Music, where it's like you just have a collaboration, and then they license their content, their creativity to these AI companies. So like even in the future, I don't think OpenAI is going to be a major. I don't think it's gonna be like even though they have like one of the best models for image generation. I don't think it's gonna be or Google. They're gonna focus on image generation and video generation. But like where you see like the big players there, it's gonna be much more like oh you have kind of an oligopoly where it's like you have a few major I have to get my terminology right. You have a big major creative companies, so you have Disney, Pixar, them, and they kind of have a collaboration deal with these AI companies to say, okay, you here are the here's the training that you can probably use. Here's the stuff we want your users to have access to. Maybe it'll be like Disney, maybe it'll be like a Disney Hulu plan where it's like, okay, you get access if you want to make Disney characters, you have to like opt into this plan where you have to, or if you want to make Disney characters, you have to opt into a certain plan. If you want the bigger plan with the content of Hulu's like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and stuff like that. You have to opt into the Disney plus Hulu plan. stuff like that. I think that's maybe the route it's gonna go. I think I'm really excited because this is a question I've been asking myself for a long time now in terms of how the money is gonna flow. Um, but yeah, I think it's exciting. I think given your perspective on AI and music and art and all that, you have different feelings, obviously. But I think from my individual view, I'm just really curious on how it's gonna play out. Um, but I don't think like if I was someone who was very adamant about my dislike for AI, this would be something that's really bad because I don't think just based off this collaboration alone, I just don't see how it's gonna be a lot of pushback. Even it's going back to OpenAI. They had their Sora model released, I think, 2 months ago, the new Sora model, and then Toei, some other animation companies, they came to step in and say, "Hey, you're kind of like your users are making a bunch of stuff from our creative material, like our IP, intellectual property. Your users are doing that, and that's not right according to us. So they're going to sue them and all that. But what I think is going to happen right now is that I feel like Toei them just don't have the technology in place. But let's say 10 to 15 years, it's gonna be another thing there where it's like, okay, are they gonna have their own model to like have users use like, oh, I want to create the One Piece art or fan art and all of that. And do they sell that or do they just like say, okay, it's actually much easier for us to just collaborate with OpenAI, Gemini, Flux, one of those companies, and say, okay, let's license our IP to them and their users can say, okay, we want to buy into the Toei plan where we can generate stuff from Toei's IP, right? I think I should probably like write this down better. 'Cause I think it's a very feasible route. Whether it's the best or I don't know, but I think it's something I want to look into more. Um, there was something I was gonna say, but I really forgot. But I think it's something to definitely watch out for. I think it's gonna be really really interesting. Um, yeah, oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think another thing now, even with all this licensing, I was someone who like when Suno, I first saw Suno come out like 2, 3 years ago. I was someone who was really excited about. Like I even played around it. I made like two AI generated songs that I post onto this channel itself. But then the thing I noticed, same thing with Sora, the new Sora model. After a while, the magic kind of wears off because even if even if I can create really good songs, how many times do I actually need to create a song? If that makes sense, like song creation is not something I do. Same thing with video generation. I don't generally generate videos unless it's like okay, I need like a video to explain a concept in the slide. Maybe I'll use it, but like besides that, I'm not like hey guys, look at this cool video I generated. It's the same thing with like it's just it doesn't have the same effect. I think that's where people who are more so for lack of better words, anti AI can like I do see their point in terms of like there's a certain I won't say beauty because I feel like beauty is too abstract, but there's a certain feeling, same thing. There's a certain feeling when it's like, okay, if I have this really cool idea and I animate it and I show it to people, that's like there's a more investment into that. Like there's more, I guess, stake. But if I just say I have this cool idea and I show people an AI video, then it's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. But there's nothing beyond that almost. And I feel like I think that's one of the things I'm interested to see how it plays out. Maybe the culture around art and creation changes where it's like, okay, people are more interested in doing this. But like even with Sora, and if you go on the Sora app, it's going to be its own Instagram, but like you see a lot of the same videos, not a lot of creativity or um innovation is really going on. I think the key for AI companies is they really want this to be a major thing, beyond just business to business relationships of creating like ads. I think if they want to be a major thing, you have to find a way to get the artists to be invest. Like the artists are the people who make these stuff, right? I think there's a certain eye you need to actually make the innovation necessary for people to say, okay, this is really cool. I want to continue playing with Sora. I want to continue playing with VO3 or whatever. I think that's not something like the average person can do, even with like like some fairly good prompt engineering skills. I don't know how that's gonna happen. It might just be a money thing. It might just be a money thing. It might just be like, oh, some artists are interested. I know Matthew McConaughey. I think Dean Kane. No, I think that's wrong. But I know Matthew McConaughey. He sold his voice rights to like 11 Labs, for example. It's like maybe more artists are going to become willing to like collaborate, and maybe that's going to be the key here to kind of bring that layer of innovation that's necessary to make this a cultural um make this more culturally significant where people are more inclined to use it. But I don't know, besides that though, I have nothing else to say, so have a great day.